Hey, Clarence. I saw that after over 24 hours of not even answering, the Cowboys told the Bears you cannot interview Mike McCarthy. So I guess Mike McCarthy's coming back, huh?
Yeah, access denied. Pump your brakes.
Wait, they just told.
Let's set it up. Just talking to people. They spent Monday when they were given the request interviewing players. Okay, they did the exit interviews, and you're familiar with the exit interviews.
Yes,
they did.
That's when they tell you I want 53 of you, so you can go now.
So they did all the exit. Monday was specifically spent on exit interviews. There was not any Mike McCarthy, Jerry Jones sit-down powwow. So just from the Cowboys' point of view, we're not ready to make that decision. And I know from the outside.
What about the hay?
Then Tuesday.
The hay was already in the barn.
We still have to sit down and talk. And I would say in the Cowboys' defense, it's not just do I want you, it's also a negotiation. Until we get the I's dotted and T's crossed, there's no decision. There's no answer. And so if I want you back, or I'm considering bringing you back, and let's be honest, Mike McCarthy wants to return. Mm-hmm. And I know how we say, well, it's unfair. But if he had a problem with the scenario, he would say, Jerry, I want to look at this. And Jerry, as he said, if you don't want to be here, you can go. But I think this is a twofold thing. I know it comes across.
That's literally what he just got denied.
Because that's the second thing. Like the first thing is the hay is in the barn, and then it's like, well, hold on, we need to talk, we need to negotiate. And the second one is if you don't want to be here, interview somewhere else. But then you denied that after you said if you don't want to be here, interview somebody else, except I'm not going to let you interview somewhere else. Plus the hay is in the barn, but we don't know if you're going to be the coach yet. My God, Jerry Jones, figure it out, bro.
Yeah, no doubt, but. The problem with us and Jerry, and the problem with Jerry is that we take his statements all the time as face value. The hay in the barn was just a hay in the barn, okay? It wasn't literally hay in the barn. But it sounds good. It was
then
a
we're
great
not going to talk
soundbite.
about anything he says.
No, you can't troll. I understand, but just because it said it don't make it so. And so, let's not lose our mind over the hay in the barn, okay? It was the hay in the barn. The bottom line is they're involved. It was less than 48 hours since the game. They had not really got into the weeds on what we want to do and how we're going to do it and the plan going forward. And so they denied the Bears. And again, that to say that automatically means he's coming back, no. But it does mean that they're considering it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm glad you brought up though the idea about Jerry's conversations and you saying, hey in the barn, what does that even mean? This past Sunday after the game, Jerry Jones talked for nearly 40 minutes. And usually I'm actually pretty close into it, and I have my recorder there. And sometimes when you're recording things, you can actually kind of go to sleep a little bit because you're just, hey, I got on recorder. If I hear a good phrase, cool or not. This time I was a little bit outside of it, so my recorder actually couldn't pick it up, and my ears could. So I really kind of listened sharply this time.
Oh, you actually paid attention.
This time.
How about
really sharply this time. I got the recording later, so it is what it is. But I was listening sharply, and throughout that entire time, the dude talked in circles constantly. He went back and forth saying, hey, this, but then also this. He contradicted himself quite often. And I think the only thing you could take away from that 38-minute press briefing that he had was 3 words. Anything is possible is what he said. And at the end of the day, I think that Jerry... Sorry, thank you for calling me on that.
At the end of the day, you just got to say it right.
I said it in another interview the other day. I said it like 15 times. Okay. I got to stop saying it. But Jerry wanted to do things on his timeline, and we thought that might be threatened by the Chicago Bears requesting permission. That's not the case at the end of the day.
At the end of the day. Yeah, it's just all it all hurts my soul, and I've come to the comfortable conclusion that as a Cowboy fan, you are not going to win a Super Bowl. Like, just be grateful for the competitive years and enjoy watching sports while you watch it.
Don't tell Micah that.
If the goal is the ultimate goal, it ain't happening with this Rudy Poo operation. Like, it's just, there's too many things that are not done with urgency or well thought out. It's just all throwing poo at the wall.
I'm asking you something. If seriously, I know it's cool to trash Jerry in this process. But if he's seriously thinking about bringing Michael back, whether the hay in the barn, forget the hay in the barn.
Yeah.
This is a negotiation. It doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
Because it's not just do I want to. unlike Miami and unlike the Giants, those guys were under contract.
Right.
So it wasn't like I have to negotiate a new contract with a new agent. This is a process. And so to say that the process should be done in one day, that's not realistic.
No. And
If it's a process.
I'll grant you that for just for the fun of it. For now, I'm going to grant him that, and then you.
What was your question, by the way?
Disagree, because I guess my thing is I'll go back to something that Clarence you talk about and Jerry talks about and Jesse fights about, which is the standard, right? Allegedly, there's this thing, the Cowboys, they're a championship organization, and there is this standard. If you reach the end of a season with a guy who's been here for this long, and inside your own building, you're going back and forth with, do we not? Can we do better? Like, if you have this standard, then your goal is, I need the best head coach on planet Earth. You should not be fiddle farting around and wondering, are we going to hold on to this guy who makes 20% what the highest paid coaches make? He might be okay. Like, where is the standard? If you believe that Mike McCarthy is a great head coach and our goal is to win a Super Bowl, then what are we doing with, well, hold on, give me 3 days to see if I can get him to take $50,000 less. Like, sign your effing coach if you think he's a stud.
But we don't know what the negotiator is about, but he has a new agent. You know, again, another caveat today is that the contracts of all the assistants expire today. Okay? So it's Mike. It's who you gonna bring with him. That
would be a good time to have a head coach under contract, wouldn't it?
No doubt, but it's still a process. You still have to go through the process. You still have to run out the ground ball with Mike, and to think that it's going to happen in one. I mean,
do it last month. 2, 3,
but
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 months.
Okay.
If the hay was in the barn.
Okay, but again,
I know.
It wasn't done last month. All we can deal with what's going on now.
That's what I hate.
Okay, we cannot cry over what was not done last month because no one was going to do this last month. That's not realistic.
Why not?
Because you weren't. They were in the middle. Last month, they were in the middle of a 5-game losing streak. None of this was really on the table.
Last month, we were talking about how they were fighting their asses off, and it was good for Mike.
The bottom line is, that's not realistic to say that they were going to make the decision on the coach last month. Let's be fair with that. That's not realistic.
I think it lines up perfectly with one of the reasons that they're in a bad place right now. And I think there's a lot of them.
No,
but I think one of them is they have terrible decision-making when it comes to timing. Like, they've ended up with guys who wanted to do deals early, and guys who want to do deals early, a lot of times it's because they're like, you'll really offer me that? Hell yeah. And then the guys who you want to keep around, you string it out to the very end and have to pay out your toot. And now with the head coach, like, we're not sure, and we've got to negotiate. You had all year. You had the last month. You had the last 2 weeks, the last 3 weeks. Whenever you decided if he was going to be good enough or not, to wait till this moment while other teams are scrambling to schedule interviews and have interviews. If the answer ends up being no, I'll spoil the fourth segment. The fourth segment is going to be, if not Mike, who do you want? I think my answer is Mike Vrabel, the former Titans coach. I think I want him as the head coach. While you're considering if you want your guy, and one of the guys who's going to be a front runner for every job he interviews for, he might take a job in New England. Mm-hmm. And you didn't talk to him because you were like, well, we got to figure out if we want. While other coaches are building out their staffs and seeing who's going to come with them. And I just hate that there is no sense of urgency in this organization to do the basics.
On that note, too, I'm glad you brought up this whole thing about stringing things out to the end. Why would Jerry Jones want to get a negotiation with someone that he might actually want? Because at the end of the day,
it's
proven that he loses negotiations. If Mike wants to call his bluff, and I think it's a little bit different than CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott, and some other guys.
A lot different.
A little bit.
A lot.
A little bit.
Why?
I think that they've shown that if you run its course with a negotiation with Jerry Jones, he will buckle in the end. Will that happen with Mike McCarthy? I think that's a question worth wondering. Doesn't have the same leverage, to your point.
I mean, the leverage is different. CeeDee Lamb is one of the best in the game. I mean, no one's saying Mike is one of the best in the game.
So he's settling for a coach that's not very good.
Listen, who's he going? I mean, you can say that, and I love Mike Vrabel. I don't think Mike Vrabel's a better coach than Mike McCarthy historically. He's not done what Mike McCarthy's done in this league. And I think the reason why they're fast-tracking New England, I don't think because that's where he played, that's where he wants to go back to. Sure. There's a connection there.
Yeah.
So I don't really think Jerry's missing out on Mike Vrabel.
So then Mike McCarthy has leverage.
That's leverage, yeah.
That's leverage. If there's anyone else you can't get and there's no one else good enough, that's leverage. So why not run its course, bump your $3.5 million per year contract up to $5.5.
I'm sorry, Jesse. I think you're an incredible person. How you doing today?
Yeah, no, I'm good. No, I'm
Sorry,
good.
yeah.
Trust me. I speak enough. I'll get my chance.
Oh, no.
Don't worry. I'll get my shot.
Yeah, I think this lines up with a lot. And if it's like, oh, okay, well, we think Mike Vrabel's going to go there, and so we're not worried about Mike Vrabel, and then you go down the list of guys, and it's like, oh, it turns out there are no good options, and we're going to settle for our guy. Like, everything about it is just so uninspiring.
Yeah, no doubt.
To the Cowboy fan.
There are good options. It's just a matter of, are you going to roll the dice on those options? I mean, Ben Johnson's a good option, okay?
But he wouldn't pay Ben
For
Johnson.
sure. Yeah, for sure.
The defense coordinator in Detroit is a good option.
Yeah. Oh, I agree.
You know, they're good options.
But they would also come in with salary demands.
Yes.
We all silly like the mayor.